Crash dive 40 meters. Pull ahead together, flood number 1 ballast, full dive on the planes.
Yes, sir.
Flood number 6 ballast, flood Q.
Current depth 1, 0.
Captain's log, 19th of June, 1940. 0900, first hydrophone check, no contacts. 0915, surfaced. 1200, second hydrophone check, no contacts. 1215, surfaced. 1500, third hydrophone check. 1 times unidentified ship, faint contact, moving away, did not pursue. 1514, 1 times Italian bomber spotted during pre-surface all-round look. Estimated course 025, dived to 30 meters. 1530, surfaced.
Hard to port.
1719, 2 times enemy warship sighted on port beam. Estimated course 090, closing. Close. 1720, enemy warships opened fire. Crash dive to 40 meters. 1727, dive to 50 meters. 1735, hull groaning under pressure. Enemy screws getting louder. Warships circling overhead. 1740, splashes. Drums, drums in the deep. We cannot get out. Steady, lads. Well, you've caught me at a rather bad time, I'm afraid. We're currently running at 4 knots and 50 meters of depth. No course to steer. Weather forecast is cloudy with a chance of depth charges, for you see, we've got Mario and Luigi upstairs dropping the old spicy ravioli right on us, so we've been shaken up quite a bit as a result. Not at all pleasant, I can assure you. The boat has been rocked, but we have no leaks and no damage yet. A damned unpleasant situation to be in, but we shall have to make do if we're to have any hope of escaping. Okay, let's hop over to the hydrophone. Here is screws churning as soon as they speed up. Going for an attack run. Get out of here. Full head together, port 30.
Yes, sir. Ahead full. Yes, sir.
Slow ahead boat, midships.
Yes, sir.
that was close. Oh. Damaged. Smooth. Right. Midships. Go ahead, both.
Yes, sir.
Ahead 130.
Yes, sir.
Every time there's been an explosion, there's only ever been 2 explosions, 2 depth charges, and the one that's hit us has always been the direction we are turning. So one's being flung to port, one's being flung to starboard. That's all the depth charge throwers they have. They don't have any stern rollers or anything like that. So if we don't actually make any turns, we will effectively be able to just slip straight between both depth charges. There's our starboard. There's our port. No turning manoeuvres, and the boat isn't even rocked. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to make turns for
Yes,
a whopping
sir.
2
Current
knots.
speed 1.
Yes, sir.
And we are just going to sit here and ride this out. Up. Stand by to surface.
Check main vents. Number 1, check shut. Number 2, check shut. 1 and 2 main vents, check shut. All main vents, check shut, sir.
Very good. Downscope. Surface.
Yes, sir.
Surface the boat.
Yes, sir.
Blow 1s, 2s and 6s.
Blow 1s, 2s, and 6s, sir.
Oh, right. Half head both.
Yes, sir.
Ahead standard.
Yes, sir.
Oh my. That was a bit hairy, but thankfully we've made it out of that one alive. I think we shall remain on the surface, charge our batteries throughout the night, and just continue to patrol around. We're not going to perform a hydrophone check until our batteries have fully replenished. We need that up as soon as possible. Then hopefully we can get back to doing what we're actually supposed to be doing here, which is not being depth charged and actually sinking some enemy shipping. So I will touch base with you when that happens. Until then, I'm going to sit here and enjoy this view with the sun descending on my port beam and the moon ascending on my starboard beam. See you in a bit.
Contact.
Merchant.
Closing.
Bearing.
4. 9. Long range.
Ring, 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 the hydrophone. Let's have a listen. somebody on the hydrophone. Yep, that is a merchant. 051. Can we see it? Up. Aha! There you are. Still quite a ways off. Oh, that is perfect. Oh, look at that. It's heading straight for us. It looks like it's going to basically cross our bows. We should be on an intercept course, and I don't have to do anything. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Wait, I can't make out if it's armed or not. I think what I'll probably do, just to be on the safe side, is I'll use torpedoes anyway. Typically, I'm of the mind that we should use the deck gun where possible versus unarmed merchants, especially with something like the U-class downscope, where we have a limited number of 8 torpedoes. We're not like one of these German Type 7 U-boats that have 17 and change in the torpedo department. So, yeah, we've got 4 in the tubes and 1 more in reserve. So I think to be economical with this one, because we don't need to blast with shock and awe and get out of there, we've got a lovely wide deep ocean. We're smack bang in the middle of the target area. I think it would be most wise to use only 2 torpedoes this time as opposed to the 3 before, and then if needed we can finish it off with a deck gun, but if we can land 2 solid hits, I don't think that'll be needed. So what I am going to do, up, so the crew can hear it. Can the crew see it? This is of course a video game, so despite the fact that I can quite clearly see the merchant in question and lock the merchant in question, can we get them to identify it? That is the million-dollar question. And I think because we're losing lock, the answer is no. Oh! Medium old composite freighter. Well, we know how this goes, don't we? In fact, I'm just going to set tubes 1 and 2 to 6.5 now, because if I'm not mistaken, the medium old composite freighter has a depth or draft of like 7.4, 7.3, something like that. And so 6.5 was just perfect for the job. Now that we know what it is, can we range it? That is the question. I hazard a guess the AOB is something like 40, maybe 50? Let's go 45. And that. No. I don't feel like ranging today. Okay. Yeah, that is a range of 9,000. Let's put the position keeper on. Data meter, please. Okay, now it's 9,000. Okay. Down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my eye on this range meter. As soon as we get closer, something like maybe 5,000, we will go about collecting data in the classic manner. Up. There it is, okay. Been pretty much a constant bearing the entire time. Okay, let's go about getting some data. Mark. Pop the scope down. Go about bringing up that merchant again. are. Yeah, 7.3. Okay. About 4,000 tons. Respectable. In those rangings, what do our crew recommend? 13 knots. I don't think that's correct. We'll wait for our assessment, but I'm going to provincially plug in 8 knots. This is for 2 reasons. One, it's what we saw last time, and a follow-up. The second reason being actually a follow-up to the first. This is a video game. Generally, if you have a unit, it will tend to operate when not alerted at a uniform speed. So I believe it will be 8 knots, but we'll plug that in. We'll update it in a second because we're doing our 315 method. I'll watch on the screen going on now and then. Spread angle is fine. Speed, we only have one setting. We want a contact exploder, not contact influence, because magnetic torpedoes are the bane of my existence, at least in these games. 6.5 on both tubes 1 and 2. Yes, close enough. Technical faff at this point. It's literally just a waiting game. While we are waiting, though, one thing that would be most wise before we attack this merchant is to get an appreciation of the situation. Is there anything else that is nearby that is going to ruin our fun? No, the coast is clear as far as we can tell, unless there is a warship sat around twiddling its thumbs with its engines off, which I don't think there is. Other way. Okay. 2 minutes. Do a quick check. Seems overly paranoid, but honestly, stranger things have happened. Okay. Get that merchant back into view. Let's head back over to our map. Okay, there's our 315. So, you know the drill. Let's get our compass up. Draw it along lines, making sure they line up nicely where possible. So we're on a course of 025 by the looks of it. So we then take our tractor, take it from where he is, and where we are, 67, let's just make that 68, 69, it's going to be 69 by the time I finish inputting this data. Take another ranging, set. And we never actually did check what the speed was. That was the whole reason we were doing this in the first place. So let's just mark. Yeah, make that about 8 knots. But normally, last time we were at 2,000, and normally it would have more chance to accelerate. Which is why I put 9. But now we're on 1,300. So I think nothing left to do other than open the doors. So, let's double check. Speed 8 knots, range 1300 and decreasing. We've got the AOB set up nicely. Let's just plug that in one more time before we fire these fish off. Send this one to the bottom. 79, getting close to 80 now. Go to observations, go. Set. Fire tube 1. And slightly right, fire tube 2.
Firing tube 2.
Down the scope.
Torpedo.
Well, we've got torpedo impact, but it's not on fire, and it's still kicking up. Right, we've got to chase this. Surface the boat.
Yes, sir.
Low 1s, 2s, and 6s.
1s, 2s, and 6s.
Oh, I tell a lie. The wake has fallen off it completely between us surfacing. Well, we'll just continue to sit here and observe. Ready at action stations just in case, keeping an eye on the horizon in case we get any guests. God, how I hate guests. No guests except on party business.
Captain, sir, Officer Watch, request you come to the bridge.
At action stations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
To do. We've got a solid damage control team. It's okay. Bridge. Starboard 30.
Yes, sir.
We're much too close to come about for a torpedo attack, so instead we shall go for a deck gun attack. In the dead of night we're going nice and slow, so we're not kicking up that much of a bow wake. Going to come right around. Merchant, starboard bow, in your own time, carry on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, solid hit, and an explosion already. This thing is carrying ammunition. 100%. Okay, starboard 20. Oh, a fire already, goodness me. You're carrying either oil
Yes,
or
sir.
explosives. Whatever you are vital to the Italian war effort. Good chips.
Yes, sir.
No, he's turning towards us. He's trying to force a collision. Starboard 30.
Yes, sir.
Full ahead together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hard to port.
I think even if this ship survives this attack, it's not going to make it to its destination. That hull is so precariously close to the waterline. Barrel of the naval gun ran hot through the early hours as round after round came up through the conning tower hatch, into the breach, and out onto the merchant's hull. Assisted by fires and secondary explosions, the 4,000-ton merchant was finally brought low after 30 minutes of relentless hammering by the gun crews. Water filled the target's inner compartments one by one as the sea gradually gained purchase on the ship's form, dragging it slowly ever down into the deep, to the ninth circle of Neptune's own private inferno. The crew admired their handiwork with pride and an admixture of fearful reverence. Their introspection was abruptly cut short, however. Crash dive.
Yes, sir. Crash dive. Yes, sir.
Current depth 1, 0.
Okay, we seem to have made it out of that one alive, which is only good news. We are now steering on a course out of the action area. We are making turns for about 4 knots. And the destroyer/torpedo boat, not that the Italian classification was ever consistent to begin with anyway, seems to be depth charging nothing, so they've completely lost us.
Short range.
Yeah, see, it's moving away. It thinks we're somewhere else. So we're just going to escape the area. And hope that it doesn't just drop depth charges on us as a matter of accident. So we are going to cut there, and hopefully we can get far enough away to recharge our batteries, because otherwise if we spend too much time surface during the day, well, we're going to need to dive at some point. There's going to be a plane, there's going to be possibly warships, and we're going to need to evade and spend the day submerged. The remainder of the patrol was uneventful, and a small part of me was thankful for it. The men were more expressive of their feelings on the matter. Stuffed under bunks and in lesser used cubby holes, musical instruments started to appear. One even took 2 blocks of wood intended for plugging leaks and started banging them together in time. After being stuck, cramped into this metal tube, having breakfast at 8 in the evening, excreting into a bucket, being depth charged and all the rest, the men of HMS Umbra were very much looking forward to a quick but much needed run ashore. But before we could re-enter HMS Talbot, we had some very important business to attend to. Our boat was missing something. Submarines have a single chief weapon: stealth. By hiding beneath the waves, they can avoid detection, attack without warning, and escape, ideally without fear of retaliation. This was an affront to centuries of warfare convention that dictated you needed to have clear signals, clear intentions, and meet your opponent under true pretenses.
Mr. Boyle, run up the colours.
Aye, sir.
When the then controller of the Navy, Admiral Sir Arthur Wilson, saw the Holland I launched in 1901, he deemed submarines underhand, unfair, and damned un-English, going further to say, treat all submarines as pirate vessels in wartime and hang all the crews. Their very being and the nature of their capabilities was set to overturn those conventions that those in the realm of civilized warfare had so politely agreed on since time immemorial. Submarines were considered to be barbaric, and their crews filthy, unshaven reprobates.
Herzlich willkommen, Herr Kapitänleutnant.
Nein, bitte. Ich nicht. Das ist der Kommandant.
Oh, Entschuldigung,
In September 1914, commander of British submarine HMS E9, Lieutenant Commander Max Horton, was returning from a rather successful patrol after sinking the German cruiser SMS Heller, when he recalled the sentiments towards him and his crew, in particular Admiral Wilson's comments about submariners being executed as pirates. In retort, Horton flew a small Jolly Roger flag on the conning tower on return to port as a way of sticking 2 fingers up at the Admiral. With each successful patrol, another Jolly Roger was added to the collection until there were simply too many, and so instead, 1 large singular flag was flown. Now that scene from down Periscope where they dress as pirates and dispose of their surface fleet colleague takes on a different meaning, does it not?
Mr. Pascal, have you any last words before you walk the plank, sir?
You can't do this, you maniac! This is the modern Navy! People don't walk the plank!
Captain Blood, consign him to the briny deep! May God have mercy on his soul.
The practice spread to a few submarines, with the first known photograph of the practice allegedly taken in July 1916 aboard HMS H5. The Admiralty at the time, understandably, disapproved of the practice, but were powerless to stop it. There was a lapse during the interwar period, as with no piratical actions taking place, there was no reason to fly the flag. It did, however, restart in October 1941 in the midst of the Second World War, when HMS Osiris returned to port after a patrol during which she sank the Italian destroyer Palestro. The submarine returned to the port of Alexandria and was ordered to wait outside of the boom net for a special package to be delivered by motorboat. The package was from none other than now Admiral Sir Max Horton, who was Flag Officer Submarines at the time and visiting the base. It contained a Jolly Roger, which was to be flown as Osiris came into the port. After this, a great many, though not all, submarines returned after a successful patrol flying the Jolly Roger, gifted to them by the commander of their flotilla. Once handed over, it became the responsibility of the boat's personnel to maintain the flag and update it with new symbols indicating the submarine's achievements. The astute of you will notice the sailors sticking 2 fingers up at Sir Admiral Wilson in an in-keeping, though far less well-known part of the tradition. Even XE-12, Excitable, which was a midget submarine or X-craft, possessed a rather unique-looking hood ornament. This particular aspect of the tradition is no longer present, as the modern submarine service of the Royal Navy is a clean, uniformed and professional body, the kind of people you would trust with, the country's nuclear deterrent, or the safe operation of a nuclear reactor, for example. A far cry from the motley, rakish renegades of the Silent Service's youth that racked up tonnage in the hopes of becoming a submarine ace. A submarine is entitled to fly the flag when returning from a successful patrol. It may be hoisted as the submarine passes the boom net, and may remain until it is lowered at sunset, and it cannot be flown again until another successful patrol has occurred. It may also be flown on the day the submarine returns to the United Kingdom from a successful overseas deployment. During World War II, various Allied submarines also adopted the practice. The Polish submarine, ORP Sokol, formerly HMS Urchin, can be seen here flying a pirate flag of its own, in addition to some captured flags from enemy ships. Even the skimmers got involved at one point, with the frigate HMS Duckworth making a Jolly Donald, with Donald Duck replacing the skull and crossbones entirely, and having symbols added for each U-boat sunk. Here is the picture of HMS Conqueror I mentioned in the previous episode. Did you notice the Jolly Roger? Their flag, now in the Royal Navy Submarine Museum in Gosport, UK, features a cruiser ship to represent the type of ship sunk, an Atom for the first nuclear sub to sink a target during wartime, in addition to a cloak and dagger and cross torpedoes. There are several of them at the museum, with the earliest known flag on display being from 1915 and flown from HMS E14. The black and blue fabric really shows how these were made by hand and fashioned from whatever they could find. The practice is still done today, with HMS Turbulent flying a Jolly Roger adorned with Tomahawk axes in 2011 to mark the successful use of TLAMs, or Tomahawk Land Attack Missiles. HMS Astute returned to port after a classified mission in 2014 on the 100-year anniversary of the practice. This is, however, a tradition rather than doctrine laid down by the then Admiralty or any other official body. As such, it is not always done, and when it is, there isn't 100% consistency. That said, there are commonalities. A non-exhaustive list includes a white bar, meaning a merchant sunk, a red bar, meaning a warship sunk, a yellow bar, specifically for Japanese merchant sinkings because, moving on. Crossed cannons mark a gun action, with stars denoting the number of ships sunk by way of gunfire. Planes mean aircraft shot down. A U with a line through it means a U-boat sunk. A dagger means a cloak and dagger operation, which is a stealth op, typically but not always involving the delivery or recovery of shore parties from enemy territory, so the Royal Marines, Special Air Service, Special Boat Service, spies, political figures, etc. There are also some symbols that mark unlikely or singularly unique events and so have only been used once. For example, the can opener, unique to HMS Proteus as it survived an attempted ramming by an Italian destroyer. The submarine was on a collision course and turned into the ship and narrowly avoided being rammed, instead causing its extended hydroplane to cut a huge gash in the destroyer's bow plating. There was also the Stork and Baby, unique to HMS United as it signifies the captain's first child born while on patrol. There are others, and I've linked the Wikipedia page in the description as a starting point if you want to investigate more for yourself, though be advised that there are some not listed on that page and no one single site has them all. The limitations of this mod mean that the boat does not feature a Jolly Roger upon its return to port, nor does it feature any flag at all. To remedy this, I have devised a flag especially for our patrol with HMS Umbra, and in keeping with the handmade nature of a true Jolly Roger, I will be making mine from scratch in none other than Microsoft Paint. Okay, so I should probably start with the skull and crossbones. That's the centerpiece after all. This looks absolutely awful already, and I've only just started. So first things first, we sunk those fishing vessels. 3 of them were small vessels of no significance, and so they get a very unique symbol. They get the piss pot. That one's especially awful. I'm really proud of that one. 2 of those vessels in that first engagement were big enough to not be considered a piss pot, so they get their own star on the crossed cannon. And then of course we sunk 1 merchant with gunfire. Unfortunately that still only counts as 1 star, but there we go. Okay, and we sunk 2 merchants by torpedo. Now, sources differ on this. Some sources say that there is a white bar for every merchant sunk. Some say there is a white bar for every torpedo that successfully hit a merchant and then sunk it. I'm going to go with the torpedoes hit. Actually, no, I'm not going to use the boxes. Let's hand paint these as well. Embrace just how awful this looks. So we hit that first merchant with 3 bars, and then our second torpedo attack in this episode we hit with a further 2. 5. Lovely. Okay, and I think that covers almost everything. Ah, wait, no, there is one I forgot. And there we have it, HMS Umbra's very own Jolly Roger, in all of its ugly MS Paint glory. Thank you for watching. If you did like this video, obviously prove it by liking the video, and if you don't mind, drop a comment as well. I want to know what you think. I understand my style is a little different to others, and I want to hear what you think on that. Thank you very much, and I will see you around.